been growing simple sugars while simultaneously being a high school student. Now that I've graduated, I'm ready to do whatever it takes to blow the lid off this thing.
On Shark Tank, brilliant ideas fail every day. Perfect branding, clean numbers, smart founders, dead on arrival. But every once in a while, something walks through those doors that should not exist. Ideas that make the sharks laugh, make investors cringe, make America ask one question: who would ever buy this? And yet, these ideas didn't just survive. They didn't just sell, they exploded. Today we're breaking down the weirdest Shark Tank ideas that somehow worked, and why the sharks were almost completely wrong about them. Here's the uncomfortable truth about innovation. The best ideas don't feel obvious at first. They feel wrong. They challenge how we think people behave. They violate what business school teaches, and they usually sound ridiculous when explained in one sentence. But weird ideas have one secret advantage: they're memorable. And in a world where attention is the real currency, memorability can be worth millions. Let's start with one that made the sharks visibly uncomfortable. Segment 1, the potato parcel. Imagine walking into Shark Tank and asking investors to fund a business that ships potatoes. Not potato chips, not gourmet truffle mash, just potatoes, with messages written on them. That was the pitch for the potato parcel, a literal potato with custom text, mailed to someone's house. The sharks didn't just laugh, they looked confused, because this wasn't innovative technology. It wasn't scalable infrastructure. It wasn't even premium food. It was a joke product, and that's exactly why it worked. Here's what the sharks underestimated: the internet loves absurdity. The founder had already generated tens of thousands in sales before walking into the tank. Not because people needed potatoes, but because they wanted reactions. It was shareable. It was Instagrammable. It was weird enough to be unforgettable. And in the age of viral marketing, unforgettable beats logical. The business went on to generate millions in revenue post-show. No patents, no deep tech, just novelty. The lesson: if your product makes someone laugh hard enough to pull out their credit card, it doesn't have to make sense. Segment 2, the ice cream canteen. Next, we step into a story that looks like pure childhood nostalgia, until you realize it's brilliant business disguised as fun. Imagine this: you're outside on a hot day with your favorite flavor of ice cream, but instead of savoring every bite, you're racing the sun, watching it melt faster than you can say chocolate chip cookie dough. That's the problem Jordan Stern brought into the Shark Tank. Not a food you had to eat, not a gadget in your pocket, just a container designed for one purpose: to keep ice cream frozen. But this wasn't a thermos. No, this was the ice cream canteen. At first glance, the sharks looked puzzled, which is fair. Something that keeps ice cream cold shouldn't sound like a real business. It doesn't sound high-tech. It doesn't sound life-changing. It sounds fun, but here's where fun becomes smart. Jordan didn't just describe the ice cream canteen, he demonstrated it. That's when something incredible happened. Yes, a blowtorch, yes, melted surroundings, but inside, cold as a freezer. You could literally see the sharks go from confusion to curiosity to a light bulb moment. This was no longer a gimmick, it was a solution to a surprisingly common problem. Parents taking kids to the park, campers on a summer hike, beach days that stretch into evening. People like ice cream. People hate watching it melt. The ice cream canteen didn't just protect frozen dessert, it protected moments, memories, laughter, shared scoops, and businesses live or die on memories, not products. Jordan asked for $100,000 for 5% equity. Lori Greiner and Mark Cuban didn't just bite. They both jumped in and offered a combined deal for 20% equity plus a $200,000 line of credit. Just like that, an idea that should have been dismissed as kid stuff became a real product with real investment. It wasn't a software platform. It wasn't medical innovation. It wasn't rocket science. It was playful, practical, and necessary. The ice cream canteen went on to thrive not because it was a strange idea, but because it solved a real human problem in the most unexpected way possible. In business, the weirdest ideas aren't always useless. Sometimes they're just undervalued human experiences waiting to be monetized. Segment 3, the giant blanket. Next up, a hoodie, but not the kind you wear to look good, the kind you wear to disappear. When the brothers behind the Comfy pitched, they didn't have a business plan. They walked in singing, wearing giant, shapeless polyester blankets.
It's the blanket that's a sweatshirt. Fa la 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 la. Stay warm and cozy. It's the Comfy, the perfect gift for anyone on your list. Get one now before they're all gone. Fa la 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 la. It's comfy time.
Yeah! Nailed it! Nailed it.
They had 0 customers, 0 inventory, and 0 sales. The Sharks were baffled. Lori Greiner called it a backwards road. Kevin O'Leary laughed at their valuation. It looked like a Snuggie having an identity crisis. But Barbara Corcoran saw something the others missed. She didn't see a fashion disaster. She saw happiness. She took a risk on a company that didn't even exist yet. The result? That ridiculous blanket became one of the highest grossing products in Shark Tank history. Over $500 million in sales, proving that while sex sells, comfort sells more. And when you're that cozy, you don't care how weird you look. Segment 4, clothes for game day. Now this one confused the Sharks for a different reason. Gameday Couture wasn't innovative technology, it wasn't patented, it wasn't revolutionary manufacturing, it was fashion. Specifically women's clothing designed only for sporting events. The Sharks asked the obvious question, why limit your audience? And that's where they missed the point. Gameday Couture wasn't limiting demand, they were concentrating it. They understood something massive about fandom. Sports fans don't want generic apparel, they want identity signaling. They want to say, I belong here, I support this team, and I still want to look good doing it. This wasn't merch, it was self-expression. After Shark Tank, the brand scaled rapidly, tapping into college sports culture and stadium fashion markets. The weirdness wasn't the product. The weirdness was how long it took people to realize women wanted better sports apparel. Segment 5, sugar for babies. Now let's end with one that didn't just work financially, it worked emotionally. Simple Sugars. At face value, it sounded dangerous. A sugar-based skincare product for people with eczema, including children. The Sharks were alarmed, concerned, borderline hostile, sugar, on inflamed skin. But this pitch wasn't theoretical, it was personal. The founder created the product to solve her own eczema after years of failed treatments. She wasn't selling hope, she was selling evidence, photos, before and after results, real customers. And when Mark Cuban invested, it wasn't because the product was weird, it was because the problem was real. Simple Sugars went on to generate millions in sales and build one of the most loyal customer bases in Shark Tank history. The lesson? Weird ideas fail when they're gimmicks. They succeed when they're solutions. Every idea you saw today broke at least one rule. Too niche, too awkward, too absurd, too weird. And that's exactly why they worked. The Sharks are brilliant investors, but even they are human. They rely on intuition, and intuition struggles with ideas that don't fit existing mental boxes. The founders who win are the ones who don't try to sound normal. They try to be true. If this video changed how you think about business ideas, hit subscribe. And if you want to see the most painful Shark Tank rejections that later made millions, that video is waiting for you right now. This is Exhilarating Discoveries, where the strangest ideas often make the most sense. See you in the next one.